Let's fucking go.
Oh, he left after saying
I'm back.
that.
I hit the wrong button. Yeah.
I was like, this dude's
It's over.
gone. He's going to edit.
All the crooked hedge funds meet, all the big dogs on Wall Street. The SEC gets on the line. Stop the buying, we'll say we're blind. When the brokers froze, the game did stop, but retail rose up to the top to make a stand and hold the line with diamond hands. Beat them blind. The price did drop, they yelled, please sell. We held our shares through the depths of hell. Up and down to hell and back. Us diamond hands we never cracked. Through the storm our spirits swell. Against the suits we did rebel. In the fray we found our track. Solidarity, our counterattack.
Thanks for everyone for checking out the show. My name's Sean Fitzy.
I'm Chuck.
I'm Paulie.
And I'm Echo.
And this is the Echo Chamber. Tonight's show, we're going to spend a little time talking about the slow week we had, our chairman moving around his shares, and the panic from the open that we're having at the start of fake trading. So, yeah. How's it going, everyone?
Great.
Doing good?
Oh yeah, love watching the fake trading hours. There's like GameStop's down 6 or 7% on like 23 shares, so everybody's freaking out.
25 in after hours trading. Well, Robinhood after hours trading.
Yeah.
ES is getting smoked. The market's just getting beat up pretty bad too. So yeah, so that's exciting. It opened down almost like 2%. SPY futures. So
Yeah. Red is the new green, right?
Yeah. Hey, Paulie, how are you?
I'm great, man. How are you, Sean?
I'm good. I went to a K-pop concert last night.
Oh, really? That sounds fun.
What is K-pop? Is that
Korean
a band?
pop?
Yeah, Korean pop music.
Oh, that sounds nice. I literally think of like the pops you get at like Starbucks for some reason. My brain went right there. The display ones. I've never had them, but they look just delightful.
Oh yeah, no, it was a blast. It was at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, which is kind of ironic, but yeah, no, yeah, it was a blast. Lots of my daughter had a very good time. So yeah, that was good. How's any basketball this weekend?
Yeah, man. No, we had men's basketball had their rivalry game against Indiana on Friday night, and we won that and moved into 10th all time in Division I basketball for program wins. So that was cool. Purdue and Indiana were.
How many games do you go to a year annually? Just give me a number.
A lot. So let's see.
Do a number.
Well, last year my wife and I went to I think it was 31 of the men's games, and they played 38 games last year. But last year was an exception. We went to almost every game last year. So we haven't been able to travel as much this year. So, but yeah, it's we're big fans. So. And then the women's basketball played today, and they actually picked up their first conference win of the year. So it's been a tough year for them. So that was really nice to see. And but we took our newborn granddaughter to the women's game today. So that was her first game at 8 days.
Start them early, real early,
early. Yeah.
So she's officially a good luck charm now. So we can't like not take her to a game now. So
every game,
she's on the hook. She's carrying a lot of pressure now.
That's awesome. She's like a week old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Chuck, how are you doing, man? You enjoying this weekend of Twitter?
Dude, it's been like a dead zone. Sorry, I thought you were gonna go to Echo for that next question. I put a Pop-Tart in my mouth there, but we got some snow, we got some pow. I was doing some tubing, doing some snowboarding, but yeah, I mean X has been a ghost town. And then I think for the people that have returned, it seems like, Armageddon maybe tomorrow based on X right now. I think people are really down. Crypto has been the air's been sucked out. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But X has been a ghost town, and people they've been down in the dumps. So trying to keep them positive.
Cranky. They've been cranky. It has been, yeah. engagement wise, this was the lowest engagement I've seen over like a 2-week period.
And by the way, the Pup Tart was cinnamon brown sugar. In case people were curious, I shoved that right in there.
I don't know
Good
what
choice.
a Pup Tart is. Is that a Pop Tart?
What am I saying? I'm saying Pup Tart. What am I saying?
Yeah, it's a Pop Tart, I believe. He's just got that, you know.
I had half of it in my mouth, so I was trying to like speak normally.
It sounds like a U, like you're saying P-U-P, like pup.
Yeah, it was kind of came out like pup, like a puppy tart, but I mean like those delightful, you know, baked goods. You throw them right in the toaster there. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. Yeah. But you're eating the cinnamon and brown sugar one. Those are like, you know, the variety pack. That's the shit that never.
Dude, I got the variety pack. Oh yeah. If GameStop sold them, I'd buy them, but I get them from Walmart.
Yeah, nice. All right, cool. Echo, how are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good, man. Just hanging out. Wife and I went out and did some yesterday. Stopped by GameStop. I don't know how I ended up there. It happens like once a week. I just magically show up. I don't know
weird.
why.
Weird.
Yeah.
They had something going on this week, didn't they?
Yeah, they had their Double Pro event this week. It was the end of Q4, I believe, right? Q4. Yeah, that's the right one. Duh. Yeah, so, you know, rolling into Q1, I had to go support Shop GameStop. Picked up some currency cards, and I actually pulled a 1-of-1 Onyx Bitcoin, so that's pretty
sick,
dope.
bro.
What is that? Did you get a Bitcoin? I was so confused when I saw that.
No, I would probably be way more.
I was gonna say, you seemed excited, but I was like, yeah, I'd be more excited if it was a real Bitcoin.
But no, I collect cards. It's a 1-of-1. Onyx is one of their more rare, I guess, types of cards. I'm not a great collector, all right? You put me on the spot, Chuck. I don't like it.
Well, my bad. Well, either way, 1-of-1, that's a good thing. That means it's like 1-of-1. I know what that means. Yeah, that's good.
I returned to GameStop today. It's weird how that happened. I meant to send them out. Yeah, I was gonna send a few of my cards out to get graded at PSA, but unfortunately, I guess the currency cards are a different category of cards, so you can't do the PSA grading on those through GameStop.
Interesting.
So you know, Nat, Ryan, I know you guys are listening. Let's work on that, right? Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Seems like an opportunity to me.
Yeah, devout listeners of the show, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of currency, I think Paulie, you got some currency cards too, right?
Ooh, you know what?
He did. Well,
yes,
sorry.
I did.
I wanted to say real quick though that Onyx card being a 1-of-1, I think GME but Stallion was saying, which is kind of funny to say now that I say that out loud.
It's such a funny name.
Yeah, he's an amazing memer. That guy is
he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT, dude.
Yeah. That Daniel sold one of those Onyx for like $5,000 or something like that.
Yeah, I looked up some of the comparable ones on eBay, and they got some nice values on there. I showed my wife, and of course she was like, "Well, is that what they're actually selling for, or is that just what people are asking?"
Wow,
so, you know, she sure brought me down a peg. No, I'm just kidding. But no, I'm excited.
She gave me that.
I'm sending it off. I think I have a handful of them. I think I'm going to send off to PSA. Figure out how to do that now that I can't do GameStop. But yeah,
that's awesome. She gave you that Aubrey Plaza look, didn't she?
Yes, exactly.
Parks and Rec, right?
Yeah.
I don't. Paulie, sorry, we were getting there, but
you're fine.
You've held off now for over a day.
I have, yeah.
Go ahead, share your adventure.
Sure, yeah. So back in November, actually, you know, thank you, Echo, for the heads up on this. So back in November, it was about Thanksgiving time. You let us know in the Discord that GameStop was allowing pre-orders of the Series 4 mega packs for the cryptocurrency trading cards. So I put in an order for 2 of those as a pre-order, and those got shipped this past week. Arrived yesterday on Saturday. So I opened those. Got a pretty good draw, really. Got a couple of serial numbered cards. One was a Bitcoin serial numbered card that was 39 of 149. Then there was a Ethereum 41 of 45, and also got like a hollow Bitcoin card, and I I got an Apes Together Strong card, which I really liked because that one was about GameStop and Roaring Kitty. So,
I like it when they do that.
Yeah. Then I also got a cryptocurrency redemption card, which Sean's idea was to wait and open it while we record this show. So as we record this, I am recording a video on my phone to show that it is still unscratched. And so I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to scratch it off.
Exciting. I might add a drum roll.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how many shares of GameStop I can afford to buy with this.
Right.
See if it's anything.
The
more
hairs
than
on my arm are literally standing up, just waiting.
I'm excited. It's going to be
a
Bitcoin.
0.1 Doge.
If you get a Bitcoin, we're gonna end this podcast right here, and I'm just gonna go run through a wall for you.
Let's see here. Okay, it is the denomination is Doge.
Okay, so 500.
And let's see here. Okay, so cover the left-hand side of this. We got 2,500 Doge showing the camera here.
Hell yeah!
Hey, there you go.
That's 2,500 more than you had. I don't know. How much is that? I don't even know how to do it.
Doge is trading like under 30 cents right now. So
I just searched 2,500. I just searched 2,500 Doge, and I'm on the Ram 2,500 website. They want me to buy a truck. I think I took the wrong turn.
Well, your card your card is down 7% on the day.
It is.
7.9. So
that's
$750.
I mean, that's still take that. I mean, for sure.
Per unusual whales, crypto in general has lost over $1 trillion in the last 24 hours.
$1 trillion?
Yeah, the crypto market has not been doing well.
What's always interesting to me is and again, I'm not trying to attack crypto by any means, but crypto to me has always been positioned as this escape from the market, escape from, the big institutions getting their hands on your funds. And yet when you look at the crypto market at times like this, every single chart looks the same. They're all down the same. So it's I don't know. Is it really that much different? I don't know. I'm not trying to start a war here, but
if you got Loop Ring, it's at 12 cents. I don't know. Putting that shit in there.
Don't get me going on Loop Ring.
Yeah.
Well, this is cool though. I mean, I spent $200 on my 2 mega packs, and even with the dip today, like you said, this is still worth over $600-700. So
in 5 years, the way Elon Musk is going with the government too, that's probably gonna be worth $20 million. The way he's pacing.
And I mean, depending on whose estimates you listen to, I mean, Doge is on track to potentially reach between $4.50 and maybe $12 in this current cycle. So
you hold that card there, Paulie.
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah. That was a nice draw. So
that's a good pull. Anything that fixed to Elon, I mean, that's a good. Just hold on to that.
Yeah. Thank you, Echo, for the heads up on that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Good job. Echo has one of those Doge cards. I don't know if he sent that thing in yet, but I know he got one too. So that's dope. Echo chamber with some Doge. Anyway, so yeah, just I guess I didn't mention this last week, but in case anyone's wondering, we are a GME podcast. We're a GameStop podcast. We are GameStop Bulls. We take the Echo Chamber name seriously. So if you want both sides of the story for GameStop, you got to go somewhere else. So just in case anyone's wondering. So yeah, that was good. I like seeing the shopping. I posted about Pro Week as well. It's just really cool seeing people shop at GameStop, and it was the end of the fiscal quarter. We can kind of talk about that, I guess, because the end of the fiscal quarter also meant the end of our umbrella period, which if anyone's wondering, so in our December earnings, RC put in the filing that they did not plan any more offerings until the end of the fiscal year, which is what we just ended, like Echo was saying. So, yeah, our safety net is kind of gone a little bit.
Yeah. It was kind of ironic because like at the time, like that was to me like the single most bullish thing in that quarterly filing was
Yeah.
that they just slid in that remark subtly like, hey, no more offerings through the end of this fiscal year.
Right.
And
I feel like for a
I
lot
was
of
like,
people,
holy cow.
it was just like a breath of fresh air, right? It was some breathing
Right.
room. It was like, okay, like I'm not saying he's going to do it tomorrow, but he couldn't theoretically do it before. And I think a lot of people kind of took that to take a deep breather. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things pan out from here. Now that technically that period is over, right? It doesn't mean GameStop will do it tomorrow. Definitely means they have the ability to do so.
Yeah, and like Paulie said, it was like at that time, it was super bullish. Like, and then it now draws questions for me on like why did he enter it in there? I feel like he's never said something like that before. We haven't also been having offerings like that. I know, going into that earnings, I was very concerned that he was going to do another offering. So, he kind of alleviated it at that part. But yeah, I don't know. Like at the time, I assumed, and I think a lot of this shit is aimed at Roaring Kitty. So maybe he was like telling Roaring Kitty he had till the end of January to do what he wanted to do before RC moved forward on what he wanted to move forward on. So I'm not sure.
It is possible, right? Like, except I feel like I do feel like they are communicating with each other, although I feel like they're doing it through the memes on X. I think it's less likely that they're using the SEC filings to do it. However, as I say that, we also have SEC filings from Keith Gill where he says, "I am not a cat." So,
and didn't he also purchase or register like the exact same amount of shares as Ryan Cohen? Like 9 million.
He did.
I mean, even that is kind of, you can't just ignore that, right? Like I don't know what it means.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of this stuff really means, but the fact that he purchased the exact number of shares that Ryan Cohen originally purchased, I mean, that's noteworthy. That's interesting. He's clearly doing that intentionally.
Yeah, and so I do think that's Keith Gill communicating and calling his shot through that SEC filing, through his specific number of shares purchased. I'm less confident that GameStop, the corporation, would use SEC filings to communicate with Keith Gill or Roaring Kitty, whichever persona we want to go with. But I do believe that Ryan Cohen would use X as a social media platform to communicate in cryptic memes or coded messages to send messages out into the ether in a very public way that could be read by everybody and interpreted however they want in order to get whatever message he wants out there. That is entirely plausible. But on the SEC filings, I don't know. Like, that one I'm a little torn on. Because I think with the SEC filings, I think they really just want to do business as usual. I think for the SEC filing, it was like a message to investors, like, hey, breathe easy. We're not gonna pull the rug out from under you through the end of this next quarter. Like, relax. Like we're not gonna do another offering. That's how I interpreted it anyway, but obviously this is all completely open to interpretation.
Yeah, so do we go into tomorrow just ready to get rugged? I mean, personally, I don't think so, honestly. I think we're probably going to end up waiting. If he's going to do another offering, I think it's probably not going to be until closer to earnings. So I don't think he's going to come out and just... It'd be kind of funny if he did, though, honestly.
I mean, again, who knows what he'll do? But at the same time, if you think about it from the company's perspective, and I can't remember who tweeted this, but they formulated the tweet in a way that I think was really representative of the reality of the situation. And it was essentially that Ryan Cohen is the president, CEO, chairman, I can't remember exact title, but of GameStop, right? His job is to deliver shareholder value over the longer term. His job isn't necessarily to quote unquote save anyone, right? So I think people tend to kind of confuse the two, but I think if GameStop were to surge in the days ahead, again, I'm not saying tomorrow, maybe a week, maybe a month, however long the period of time is, they are now situated in such that they would be able to capitalize on that, right? So if GameStop surged to $85 a share, I mean, it would be silly of the company not to take advantage of that, right? And to take some equity from that. So I think they're well situated. I think as an individual shareholder, we all need to be mindful of ramifications in the short term of what that means. But, there's no telling it's going to be tomorrow or 3 months from now or ever.
Yeah. And I think, as far as the company is concerned, I think there are two sides to that coin, right? There's, if you are in the position to make an offering, you need to be reasonably certain that the shares will be bought. And we just finished a week of tremendously low volume. We haven't seen volume that low since what, mid-October?
And like October 24th, I keep tweeting it. Like I said, October 24th was the lowest volume. I've had to do the same tweet like 5 days in a row. Yeah.
And we even touched on that last week. Like when we keep comparing things to that period in October, that was right before we went on a 6-week tear of positive movement. And that's not necessarily saying that that's exactly what's going to come, but when we've had this kind of volume compression, that also tells me that now is not a very good time to do an offering unless it's like a directed offering and they've got a buyer who has come in and said, hey, like if you put 20 million shares up, I will buy them. Like I don't know if that sort of thing happens. I know that there are negotiated brokered deals. But I don't know if that sort of thing would happen. If it did though, like it wouldn't be considered like a normal shelf offering at the money, like where it just goes like it did for the last several offerings where we had. It would be more like the one where we saw with Chewy last summer, where they had a what was it? I forget the exact terms on it, but you guys remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it seemed like they did that. That happened right before we got the Kitty filing,
sure
right?
Did. Yeah.
It almost
kind of suspicious
seemed like
timing, wasn't it?
For real. Like I feel like they had someone buying, and they wanted to know who it was. So they adjusted their float to push that person over 5%. I think that's kind of how it went down, right?
Something like that. And again, like I don't necessarily understand all of the finer details of it, but I do know that particular offering was not the same as the type of offering that we've seen with GameStop. In recent days.
And then our most recent offering was suspect as well.
The timing was super strange.
Yeah, this timing and then the price action, and then how it got completed on lower than usual volume. Well, no, I think it was stretched out actually. Either way, it was all weird.
Yeah, like it took a while to complete, and then it wasn't until September 20th that it did complete, and that was on the day that we had that 4.6 million share order that came through. Like there was a lot of like weird stuff that went down right around that time, and I think on that one they netted like exactly $20 per share on that offering as well. So I wasn't quite sure what to make of all that. I'm still not, but they sold the shares. And I know also sometimes when companies do offerings, it will end up just going straight to banks or brokers and not even ending up on the open market. So like there are lots of different ways that offerings can go down, and it just depends on how the brokered sale goes. So We don't know how GameStop's going to do their next offering, what their arrangement with Jefferies is going to be. We just know that there will be more. They've got still over 500 million shares that are authorized to be sold. But my suspicion is that they won't do it until there is reasonable volume beforehand to give them the notion that when they put those shares up for sale, that they will get gobbled up. So there's no guarantee that that's what's going to happen. That's what my intuition is.
Yeah, and then so we kind of, I don't know. I guess just to kind of finish up the offering talk, and then we can kind of move on is, so going forward, any run, if you're gonna be playing calls, if you're gonna try to like play GameStop instead of just buying and holding, that has to come into play with what you're doing at this point. And it's happened 3 times now, and every time people are like pissed off and upset, and you got to take this into account if you're going to play GameStop going forward. We're out of this umbrella period, and if we catch a bid, like I think after $35, I'm going to start. I'll be really kind of worried that it's going to happen. So just keep it in mind.
Yeah, protect your profits. Don't get stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So if we can have some damn profits.
Profits. What's that?
It's been terrible. Yeah, like the week we can summarize as shit. Like volume, like you said, 19.34 million. We did a couple weeks like that in October, but I don't know. That's pretty low volume for us. The only thing I think interesting of the week would be the implied volatility levels that we are at. We're nearing lows. Well, we're nearing the April low. I'm trying to pull up exactly where we are right now. But yeah, we're nearing the April low, which is, when Kitty started fucking buying a bunch of calls, like right around 55 IV was when Kitty jumped in, and we are nearing that level now.
And again, it's not, imagine the scenario feels very familiar, right? IV is low. Kitty tends to like to purchase when the IV is low. Now, theoretically, GameStop could do, an at the money, share offering. It's just, it feels very cyclical, and it feels very much like they could continue to do this almost perpetually. So again, just be very, if you're in calls, especially short-term dated calls, be very mindful of that, right? That the company technically could do a share offering, but the IV is low. Sometimes it feels like history repeats itself, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And we're back at October to find an IV this low. We touched 55 in October too. So the 24th, right before yellow, right before we had this low volume too. So like in October, you know what I'm saying? Like it's all cyclical. It's just, it happens. But we're at that point now where hopefully we're at the end of that cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Pretty boring week. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. And I guess the only thing I would add on the volume and the week that we had is when I look at the weekly chart, and I don't want to spend too much time on the week because it was a boring week that we had, but just looking back through the last 6 months or so that we've had on the weekly chart, when we've had weeks like this on low volume, they have historically been followed by uptrends. That is not a guarantee that that's what happens, but if you just look back, August 19th, we had a week where we went down almost 1% on just under 19 million volume. Following week, up 5.5% on 40 million volume. The week of October 7th, down 2.6% on 22 million volume. Following week, up 1.8% on 24 million volume. Week after that, week of October 21st, down 3% on 18.8 million volume. Week after that, up 8.9% on 46 million volume. And then the next 5 weeks were green. on a lot of volume. And so then this last one down 3% on 19 million volume. I mean, just this trend, and it's also an inverted hammer on the chart as far as like the candle structure. So it bodes well for a reversal. It's not a guarantee, but I mean when you got that kind of a huge wick up top and then a tiny candle body down low, following a downtrend, I wouldn't be surprised to see it base a little bit and then favor a reversal, but anything could happen.
Yeah, I see. I mean, whatever. I'm not very good at predicting the chart that much, but a triple or a double bottom at around 26.35 would make a lot of sense. GameStop's two favorite things are double tops and double bottoms. They happen at the end of pretty much every single run. I'm looking at one right now on the daily chart from the 26th of December and the 7th of January. They happen all the time, and then the end of the sell-off happens at the double bottom. So, and then I will say, talking about Ryan Cohen's Twitter and maybe him talking about the chart, he posted on December 30th. I just think it's pretty interesting. He talks about okay, let me just read it. Looking for software engineers in Dallas with 10 plus years experience in full stack, React, Java. He says headless, and then he says intense and hands-on engineers only. I know it could just be a job offering, but hands is short term for head and shoulders. And if you look on the chart, it is an intense head on a head and shoulders that we just formed pretty much right after he said that. So.
Wouldn't it be great if like years from now, right? Like you just sit down with Ryan Cohen and you just go, dude, were you talking to us with these tweets the whole time? And he just looks at you and he goes, yeah, Fitzy, I was. And you're like, yeah. I knew it, dude.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, it's really reasonable cover for him to be like, yeah, I'm doing some talent acquisition with these posts, because that's what TA team can stand for.
Well, by the way, 2-in-1, Head and Shoulders, shampoo and conditioner. Boom.
There you go. There you go. But it's also reasonable that if someone who we know is also very good at memes and speaking in code would like to use that opportunity to put something out there for someone to pick up on, then it is possible. I don't think it's I don't think it's a zero chance that he's using X to put coded messages out about the chart.
So I would just say, Paulie, something that I think this week, again, I'm not someone who fixates on the charts, but this week was pretty boring, right? Low volume, price was down. But something that we know happened, right, was that Ryan Cohen did file a 13D. I don't know, Fitzy, if you want to get into this, maybe a little bit describe what that was. But I think this, to me, my takeaway from the week was, why did he file the 13D? Why now? And what does it mean, if anything? And I don't know, Fitzy, you want to maybe? I'm intentionally kind of setting you up. To deliver this.
You're right. I think the filing is very interesting. And then even his Twitter, we can talk a little bit about too, where he talks about China building AI faster. But so it's kind of RC centric here today. But I think pretty much like you were saying, most of the news of the week is around him in one way or another. And the biggest one was him moving his shares out of RC Ventures into his name. It's a 13D, I believe. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
moving
and if I may, I think Chuck had the best comment. That was a 13D chess move.
Yeah, that was pretty good. You like that, Paulie?
Yeah, I loved it.
Good.
Yeah, sometimes, dude, I'm sneaky clever.
So the interesting thing is, I don't know. For me, so when he bought his first shares in August 2020, the first 4 million, I believe, were under his name. And then from that point forward, he bought under RC Ventures. and he transferred out of his name those 4 million shares into RC Ventures. So I think it was around the end of August when the run really started in 2020, was when he transferred everything into RC Ventures and then only bought under RC Ventures going forward until this week when he didn't buy, but he sent it all back to his name and then registered in Canada. I don't know. I don't know if you got anything to add to that, Paul. Yeah. Go ahead.
I just pulled up that 13D from 2020. It was just over 4.8 million shares that he did buy originally in his own name, over about a 2-week period, or 10 or 11 days or so. Not exactly that many because there would have been some non-trading days involved, but yeah, on the 28th of August, he transferred those shares to RC Ventures, and then he kept buying, right? But yeah, there was an interesting trend there that GameStop started running right after he made the transfer, and it was running a little bit as he was making those purchases because he was buying a significant amount of shares, and and then
4 million back then is pretty.
Yeah,
split,
it was substantial volume back then. So
also the run.
Yeah,
sorry, I was just gonna say that run did start when he dropped his filing. So like, you know, chicken or the egg was the transfer.
Sure.
You know, or was it?
Yes. Yeah. That's fair because he filed that on the 28th. So so he made that transfer of shares on the 28th, but then also bought shares on the 28th from within RC Ventures, and then he just kept buying more until he eventually got to 9,001,000 by December. So yeah, I mean that was sort of the inciting incident, if you will. I think that's sort of a catchphrase we like to use.
And I think Paulie, like many, and I was not the only one to do this. I might have been the first. I don't know. Who knows? But I did ask Grok basically, like, why would somebody change ownership of shares from, you know, an LLC holding company to be directly, you know, held in their name? And, you know, Grok gave me like 7 or 9 responses that I didn't really totally read through. But one thing that I looked at that was interesting to me was around control and decision making. And it basically says that, you know, when you're an individual, you have more direct control over the assets. Now, I don't really know, like I haven't looked into the overall, or, you know, overarching structure that is RC Ventures. For all I know, it's, you know, him, his wife, and a dog, and it's really just a really easy way to navigate ownership. But it would be interesting if he wanted to move them into his name, either because, you know, there's the ripple effect of the United States and Canada and ownership and where, you know, all those types of things, or just the ability for him to make more quick decisions, add, subtract, whatever it may be, because they're directly filed under his name. But I think what's been most interesting is all the various theories that I've seen on X. Like, I mean, there's so many. I don't even think we could get into them all, but people are just inundating X with like just different reasons why he could be doing this, right? Like I've seen things of dividends. I've seen, you know, other things that you guys have probably seen too, but I don't think anyone really knows. But for me, it's a why. Why now? Why is he doing it? It has to be for a reason. I just don't know that reason quite yet.
Yeah. And I do think that the why is interesting, but to your point, the when is probably more important. Because everything in this saga comes back to time and pressure, right?
Oh yeah.
And whether or not people choose to believe whether Ryan Cohen is completely read in or is up to snuff on what all of the meme lore is on how all of this comes together, I'm not sure whether it really truly matters, but he understands the fundamentals of why GameStop was shorted, what brought it to the brink, why it was I'm not sure what the past participle of squeeze is, but squeezed?
Squoze, yeah.
We'll accept squoze. We'll accept it.
Yeah. he understands the mechanics of all that. So whether he's in the loop, so to speak, I think is irrelevant here, because I think he can operate independently and still achieve whatever he wants to without necessarily interfering with whatever Roaring Kitty wants to accomplish. I think that whether or not they have goals that are in alignment, I think personally, my opinion is they can both get what they want without messing up the other's plan. Even if they aren't colluding with one another, maybe that's hopium. Maybe that's just me thinking this is all going to work out. But just I have a lot of faith and trust and hope in all this and how it ultimately works out. And just kind of based on what I've seen from Ryan Cohen, from Roaring Kitty, and how they understand the basics of how all this works, I just I don't have any reason to doubt their motives or their knowledge of the situation.
Yeah, and RC knows. Like we talk about sex tweets and poop tweets. Like those, he knows these. He knows these cycles. He bought his shares right into an August OPEX. Like he announced right when the pressure would be the most in August. Like he did it in December as well. Like he bought in March into an OPEX settlement run. He knows whatever it is that is causing these cycle runs, which swaps, whatever. He understands that and how it affects GameStop's price, like better than probably anyone except for maybe Roaring Kitty, and probably honestly, I would expect him to understand it more than Roaring Kitty, being the CEO and chairman. But he full on understands all these what's going on with the company. So when he makes these types of moves, it's usually going to be an impact. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, some of the tinfoil around this was the big one is that he's trying to force a share recall, right?
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. That's where my mind went to immediately. It's what Michael Burry did with his shares, and something that you pointed out, Fitzy, is that he issued this filing. He made this filing on the anniversary of Michael Burry's tweet about his share recall.
Yeah, that's
really?
kind of wild.
He did.
Whoa. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was the 4-year anniversary of him sharing the story about him saying,
oh my God, what are the odds of that?
Yeah,
right?
Back in May 2020, relatively sane times for GME, I recalled my shares, and it took them weeks to find them.
Doesn't it remind you, Paulie, too? I don't know if you guys watched the Roaring Kitty live stream, the last one he did, but when he was kind of messing with his like, what if I do this? Oh, what if I do that? Right? Like it all. I mean, again, sometimes I still can't sleep thinking back to that YouTube stream and just watching a guy casually just kind of like effing with the entire system, right? The mainstream media airing his live stream as the stock just plummets and the guy's not even doing anything, but he's pointing out, what if I did that? Well, what if I did this? Well, what if now that Ryan Cohen has control of his shares and Roaring Kitty clearly has control of his shares, like what if they both decided to recall them? What would happen? Nobody knows, and this is all speculative, but the fact that that is something that could happen, it's just what keeps me here. It's also like theater. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and so consider this. So when Ryan Cohen makes this filing, he has to do it because he's a public figure, right? He's an insider. He owns more than 5% of the company. He's got all of these reporting requirements, and so he has made a noteworthy change to how his shares are managed. The filing is required. And so the paperwork is filed within 2 business days of when when it happens. So he did that on the 27th, files it on the 29th, and now it's out there for all the public to see. So, message sent, message received. When I move, you move, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that'd be fucking cool.
Right?
If this is just kind of like the start.
It'd be a lot cooler if you guys recalled your shares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and so I don't know if the Futurama clip was Roaring Kitty saying, "I'm waiting for your next move," and then here we are with the next move, plain as day. Is it that simple? Is it Occam's razor? I don't know, but if that was the
Occam's razor is the most obvious truth is the truth, or something like that, right? Or like the most obvious answer is the answer.
Right, yeah. Like just the
I
most
Googled that
simple,
once,
obvious
Paulie,
explanation.
because people like you kept saying it, and I was like, I gotta figure out what this means.
Yeah. And so, maybe it's as simple as that. Like, hey, we've got this very public filing saying here's something that happened, and we've got shares that were held by a corporation incorporated in the state of Delaware who has just moved 36,847,842 shares to registration to an individual that is a Canadian citizen. That means, if I understand correctly, that the shares that were being held by the DTCC in the United States may need to be physically transferred to the what's it called? It's the I had the acronym before. It's the Canadian equivalent.
People forget that the DTCC effed up that splividend. I don't forget, but people do.
Right.
That still pisses me off.
Yeah, it's the Canadian Depository for Securities, the CDS. And so if I understand correctly, the shares would have to go from the custody of the DTCC to the CDS in order to go to the Canadian account if we're presuming that Ryan Cohen is using one to represent his Canadian citizenship. I don't know if that's exactly what's happening. We are making some wild speculations here, but
for sure,
that's what we do.
But, yeah, exactly, right. But if that's what happens, then whether or not his broker lent out his shares, if they were doing that with or without his permission, then they would have to locate those shares and physically transfer them to the CDS.
It reminds me of that episode of SpongeBob where they're all it's all SpongeBob's and they're inside of his own brain, but they're running around. Everything's on fire. They can't figure it out. Where the hell are the shares? They don't know. I thought you had them. I didn't. I thought you had them. Nobody has them.
Yeah, exactly. And so like last summer when I got, I was gifted shares from GME for the winter on X. She's the retired. Yes, she's amazing. She's the retired teacher who has been just on this philanthropic mission to give away shares to people in the GME community. Just an amazing person.
What's up with teachers having millions of shares? But anyways,
wild.
Yeah, she's something else. When she did that, I wound up with 2 computer share accounts. I had one with my middle name on it, one with my middle name not on it. And so I wanted to combine those together, merge them. And so I had to go to my bank, get a medallion signature on transfer paperwork, mail that in, certified mail, all that, and have computer share merge the accounts physically, transfer the shares from one to the other. It wasn't just like a phone call like, hey, I'm the same person on both of these accounts. Would you mind just, marrying those up for me? That'd be great. Thanks. Like it wasn't that simple. Ironically,
which in certain ways, by the way, I do like that in certain ways. By the way,
yeah.
Like it shows that they actually have security in place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Ironically, if I wanted to gift some shares to someone else that are worth less than $2,000, I could do so online. But if I want to merge shares in my own account, it's far more complicated. So I share that to say that if my experience doing that just to transfer shares to myself was that much red tape, then I can only imagine. Yeah, then I can only imagine that Ryan Cohen doing something like this could conceivably involve physical locates and transferring shares, even if it's not even a different broker.
Yeah, so we're looking at 36 million shares for Ryan Cohen. And then if Roaring Kitty has what we think he could possibly have, 5% would be around 22 million. So we're looking at like, if he tries to match RC. So we're getting up into the 70 million shares. If that's, what our Kitty's next move is. I don't know. It's all, like you said, wild speculation, because I don't think forcing 36 million shares to recall is necessarily enough to break us out of this algo. Chuck, you said it when we did the split and that was everything's, checkmate or whatever the hell you want to say. But we did that split and we thought that was they just
literally did not like file it, or like they didn't execute it appropriately, and it's like almost as if they said, oops, we didn't read this right, which is still just keeps me up at night. A lot of stuff keeps me up at night, but that pisses me off. I got a tweet about that. Unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous. And so there is no lengths that they won't go,
one last thing, Fitzy, quick, dude, just talking about like we just mentioned, like, I think you did the quick math there, like what, 70 million shares. And this is what I try to remind people about. I call it fake trading hours, but like when you see the price of GameStop go down 7% on like 20,000 shares, just again, maybe it's a buying opportunity, maybe it's not, but think about Ryan Cohen and Roaring Kitty having potentially 70 million shares between the two of them, and we're supposed to be fooled and scared by 20,000 shares in a fake trading hours after. I'm just, again, keep it all back of mind when you think about the overarching story that's happening here.
Yeah. And like, these guys have all these shares and they've just gone away too, right? I've been seeing a lot of that kind of shit on Twitter lately.
Yeah, you're a bag holder, Fitzy.
Yeah, I know. It's whatever. X has been a shit show.
Roaring Kitty left you and Paulie and Echo with the bag.
Yeah. So
and if I'm going to continue speculating wildly, my suspicion would be that while we were in an accumulation phase, Roaring Kitty probably accumulated slightly less than 5% of the float, and he's been lying in wait. That's my guess, and so he's waiting for his opportunity, and he is so patient. And we've said it before. Every dip is a gift, and from the way futures and overnight trading looks right now, we can expect a gap down tomorrow. I don't know if that means that tomorrow is when he will consider it a prime opportunity to strike, or if it still needs to go down even further. But I mean, we've talked about the low IV, we've talked about low volume. I mean, these are all things that kind of create this perfect storm of an ideal buying opportunity to just buy the dip, because a dip on low volume is nothing but a prime opportunity for big whale buyers, and it shakes out the weakest paper hands, and it shakes out the liquidity of people who are a little less convicted in their trading thesis. But for those who are patient and truly believe in what they are waiting for, then they can see some great things happen. So.
Oh yeah, as some wise man once said, it's always the dippiest before it's the rippiest.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So, all right, yeah, I think that can kind of take us to the end of the show here. We didn't have a whole lot going on. I realized I said, we might triple bottom at 26.25 earlier, but GameStop's trading at $25 in fake trading on low
doesn't
volume.
Count. Wait till the market.
Yeah, it doesn't count.
I really don't care about this at all.
Yeah, no, I know. And no, some of the best moves. I'd rather be on a gap down for sure, and even especially if it's a big one, because we should just fill this shit all day tomorrow. But anyways, so yeah, that's all I got. We appreciate everyone that's been listening to the show. We appreciate the feedback. Please continue to come and say hi to us. Let us know, what you like about the show, what you'd like more of when it comes to the show. We appreciate it all. So yeah. All right. Thanks everyone for checking out the show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
That was so funny. That was so funny when, by the way, I literally thought you were going to Echo. I shoved an entire Pop-Tart in my mouth. So I'm like, I'm going to eat this real quick. I got time. I was like, he's going to go to Echo, and then it's going to go back to Paulie. He's going to do his card opening. And then you were like, so Chuck. And I was like, oh my God.
Roaring Kitty sent out a tweet. A man leaning forwards in his seat. The markets broke, the stock did rise. Next, what he did was a great surprise. He told us all he'd do a stream at 12 o'clock, but wasn't seen. Then lady came all beat and bruised. He fucked the media, and we were amused. Voice was chilled, whispers grew in the anxious wait. Would he speak to seal their fate? A tweet broke through, his meme on form. Markets surged with a frenzied storm. GameStop ripped back up once more.